Welcome to the X-Mods Garage. Today I'm going to go ahead and swap out the belt. I've watched a few videos online, and even though I've done it myself a lot, what I notice is that a lot of people like to fast forward and or show you like before and after pictures. Maybe a couple have gone over some details, but I'm going to go over all the little details. So for some this may be very boring. Um, Others it may be very, you may get a lot out of it. I don't know. When you got a factory setup, since I got the turbo, there's a few things that I don't have that I used to, such as the shock mount. So the shock mount always hit this, so I always had a mess with the shock mount. You'd always remove the shock first, one of the steps. Tilt the bed if you have an XP. ADV, you guys are tight anyway. Um, I would remove the shock. I wouldn't necessarily remove the shock mount, but it would have made it a little bit easier. So that would have been the first step. I don't have to do that. The next step that I would do is remove the upper bolt on the sway bar link. The reason is that as the bolt passes through the sway bar, it sticks out a good inch and a half, maybe. So it does interfere with clearance. This is an 18 millimeter wrench impact because it's on there pretty good. Now, I don't need to remove it. I just have to slide it out of my way. Alrighty then. Now that the sway bar link's out of my way, I'm going to remove the ducking. It's very similar to factory. It's just different. Different bolts too. So if I tell you guys bolts, just remember my setup's a little different. On the Evo, they use a 7 millimeter bolt to bolt this to the ducking and to the intake. On one of my other videos, I told people that you needed to remove this. You don't. It doesn't affect anything. I tried it multiple ways and it doesn't matter. A long extension with a little wobbly head is really handy. Even though one of the bolts you have to use a ratcheting wrench, and I'll get to that later. Now, one nice thing about upgrading to the this housing, this tube, is that since it's so much more malleable than the OEM one, it does make it quite a bit easier to remove. I have an intercooler that's in my way. You guys won't have this problem. So I'm going to run into issues today because of the turbo kit. So the turbo kit actually does create a higher level of difficulty when replacing the belt, but it's still a 10-minute job. So it's not like a belt swap is hard at all. It really isn't. And then I only removed the tire just for the camera. Normally I would just do this with the tire on. It's not that big of a deal. I wouldn't even necessarily put it on the lift, but again, for the camera, it just makes it a little bit easier. Now, the ducking for the turbo intercooler is in my way. I did misspeak in my interview with Todd with Evo. I said that I had to remove this hose. I do not. My bad. Apparently the guy that engineered the turbo system knows more about the turbo system than I do. That's what I get for thinking. I just thought it just looked like it was in my way, but all he said was shove it up on top of the intercooler and it's fine. And sure enough, it is fine. So if you do happen to have a turbo Evo setup, just pull off the intake and then shove it up in there. And now all this room is open. Let's get to work. I have to switch sockets from a 7mm to an 8mm. 5/16 works good too. 5/16 for the that's your conversion rate. So 7mm and 5/16, I'm sorry, 8mm. 8mm and 5/16 is the same thing, or close enough, I guess. Some of these I will not be able to get through without a swivel. Sometimes I can go in between the reservoir and the shock body, like that. And other ones, yeah, I need to get my swivel now. So I use everything 1/4" drive. Having a thinner wall and smaller diameter stuff just makes it a little bit easier. So if I were you and you're building a toolkit, so I have a toolkit. It's one of those bags that you roll up, and I have pouches. There's a half dozen pouches, and each pouch does its own job. So there's a lot of duplicate tools in there. But I have a belt pouch. I unzip it. I have all these tools in one pouch. It makes it super simple if you're on the trail and you're like, oh, now I got to find my 7, my 8, my extension. I got to find this. No. I unzip it. I reach in. Every tool that's in there is necessary to remove a belt. And so, but that's all that goes in there. I've done the same for the axle, front and rear. Front axle, rear axle requires different tools. Sway bar leaks, 18mm. I just separated all the tools in their individual roll up, in their individual bag, just so that if I'm on the trail, it's hot, it's cold, I'm frustrated, I'm tired, I don't have to think about it. I unzip it, I reach in, and I just, boom, I got every tool I need, rock and roll. All right, now, swivels are an awesome tool. I like them. Yeah, some of these are really, really close. There you go. But with a swivel, it makes it redonkulously easy. That's it. Now, the only one I can't get to is the very top, and that's between the frame and the bolt here. This is a 5/16 ratcheting wrench. Man, this thing is awesome. I tried to get a 1/4" drive shallow socket, and it still wasn't shallow enough because the frame is right on top of the bolt. Cool. Now, here's where it gets interesting. So when I pull this out, I have to rotate it up, drop it down, and then do this. Where I've always, even now, I guarantee you're going to watch me fight it. The bolts, as they won't come out, they do go forward because of the way that I lean it. So as I'm trying to rotate it up, the bolts themselves are stopping me from the rotation process. So I'm trying to pull the bolts out at the same time that I'm trying to rotate it. Like I said, it's not hard. Um, Also, I wear a hat when I do this. I swear to you not, I hit my head on this or this part all the time during this process. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of wearing my hat backwards, but it is what it is. Alright, so it's off, and now I'm going to try to rotate it. Another problem I have is the harness for the shock, because each shock has a harness to it that goes to the front of the vehicle. That's how I control these things electronically. And that's another add-on that is it just makes it gives me another obstacle to fight with. And see, you may not be able to see it in there, but if that bolt was still here, I wouldn't be able to pull it out this far. So it does make it easier. And in fact, I am hitting that intake hose. So let me do this. Maybe. Yeah. So these three bolts right here, when you're rotating it, like I said, I'm always hitting the inside of the clutch housing. So I really got to be careful on how to pull these out and then rotate it, because then I don't have any hangups. But that's the problem. You pull it out and you slightly rotate it, and then you just kind of do that all at the same time. Clutch tool. Some people have a bolt. They'll just run a bolt in there, use a little quarter-inch drive. I never did that. I was always worried about it over torquing. Why am I replacing my belt? Because it's starting to slip on me at low speeds where it used to not. I've been driving. I've got only, I don't know, 300 to 500 miles on it. But I've been flooring this thing. I've been flooring it through the dunes and everything else. So I'm sure it has a little glaze on it. I don't know. I figured I'd just throw a new belt on there. I have 2 or 3 that I've got at a good deal, like at the sand show. So it just makes it easy. All right, now for the fun part, to rip the belt off. So I like to pull it out from the bottom and then slightly rotate it all at the same time. And I thread this in all the way till it stops too. So what I'm doing is I'm actually pulling it out, but I'm rotating it up. And I got my fingers like under the belt, and I'm pulling it this way while I'm rotating the secondary clutch. So this is your primary, that's your secondary. So I'm pulling, and I'm kind of pulling on the belt this way, but I'm pushing, rotating the secondary clutch towards the front of the vehicle. Now I'm just gonna try to now that I've got it pretty close, just gonna try to manhandle that and rotate it. Bam. Two. So What happens is these belts get a slight glaze on the outside, and then they start to slip a little bit. I'm looking for cracks, primarily on the inside. Yeah, the belt actually looks pretty good. I got a little bit of discoloration, so I went through the effort, so it's not like I'm going to take this out and not replace it. So I'm going to go ahead and put on the brand new Polaris OEM belt. And like all the other videos on the web, make sure that Polaris is so that you can read it from the top down. And always the primary first. And you got a little plastic housing there that you gotta, or a guide, I guess you'd call it. Yeah. And then you squeeze the belt and you just wiggle it. And then reverse. So now one mistake I did a long time ago is I would go for the Gusco. I would shove the belt all the way in and then try to turn it. So I found out over time that I should start the process with just the edge of the belt and then slowly work it in. Better swap out this battery real quick. Alrighty then. That one's full. Cool. Alright. So, like I was saying, you start with the top edge. Don't try to shove it in all the way. And just start to turn it. And then you pull out the bottom. And again, you're trying to do two things at once with these things. Just a little at a time. A little bit of progress, little by little. Top to bottom, top to bottom. Some guys are going to laugh at me. I don't care. Well, that's not the way I do it. I know. And then you get to a point where you just have to manhandle it, woman handle it, whatever. Bam. Just little by little. But it isn't, I mean, you need to have some decent hand strength, decent forearm strength. You know, you don't need to be huge like me. I've seen little people do it. I've seen 12-year-olds do it, no problem. It's all about the technique. Clutch spins forward. So during the drive process, if you spin this loosely forward, what I've just done is I just tighten it up. So in a loose form or loose fashion, what'll happen is that on initial startup, it could jerk the belt a little bit. So I always like to give it a little twist. And then that's done. Now for the fun part. Get the housing back on. So again, I'm going to shake the bolts out of my way. And then Try to get that intake tube or intercooler tube out of my way. And of course it all went right back into spot. So this is another deal where the screws and that intake tube right there, yeah, see that? It's always nice to do this in your garage. If you haven't done a belt swap, man, do it in the comfort of your garage. It's so nice because I'm not in a hurry. I know the problems. When I hit the trail, I know how hard or easy this is going to be. But if you've never done it and you do it cold turkey out on the trail, man, you're going to hate yourself because it's like oh yeah, I forgot to show you guys. So there's these little dowels. They're like little aluminum pins, and they're both on left and right. That's how you get it close enough. Do it, like I said, do it in your garage. Got to get those pins lined up. Yeah. And then what I do is, because I have actually stripped out mine before, is I literally will put every single one of these in by hand. Every one. And I go around, typically clockwise, just 3 to 4 threads. And then sometimes I got to give it a little bit of a shake. Now there's a few of them I can't reach with my hand, like the one underneath the belt housing. That ain't happening. And before anybody says anything, yeah, I know. I probably should have scrubbed the primary and secondary. I did that yesterday. I should have showed you guys, but I just take like a little SOS pad and scuff it up a little bit. It glazes over almost immediately anyway, so I really don't know if there's a huge benefit to that. I've been told there is, but I don't know. So I've done 2 rounds of clockwise so that I don't miss any of them. Then the bottom one I can't get to. And I keep wiggling it. I can't tell you how frustrated it is where, man, I missed one time and I had them all like close, but then I couldn't get the last one in because I missed it. And it's like, oh man. So then I had to go back, I had to loosen them all up, and then I started with that one, and then I did my clockwise thing, and that was real helpful. Now I never have an issue of alignment, you know, because I do 2 full cycles of several threads in and wiggling it as it's kind of going in this way. So now I think I did say on one of my other videos for belts, I took this off. This has no bearing on the removal at all. So you don't need to take that off unless you're just doing normal maintenance. And then of course, like I said, these little swivels here, guys, or a standalone socket built on a swivel, especially one that's adjustable. So mine's a little too loose, and unfortunately there's no adjustment other than getting a hammer and smacking the sides to make it a little tighter. This is where some of the more expensive, like snap-on tools, they're adjustable. I haven't bought one because I never think about it. I probably will. Again, if you got the the reservoirs like this, you go in between, and you always watch what you're doing, that way you don't mess anything up. That sway bar's right in my way. You dirtbag. Yep. I sure like that intercooler. It definitely keeps the intake tubes down, but man, that sucker is right in my way. Got all that. Last one, where the 5/16 is at the very top. Well, looks like maybe the one next to it. I love ratcheting wrenches. They're so cool. So yeah, then I'm going to kind of go through and whatever I can, just double check it. If I didn't have all these lights around me, I'd be having a flashlight on there. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is my little intake tube, and then I'm always cautious of how I put it back on with respect to your orientation of the nut. So I don't want to do this because it's going to hit this other tube that goes to something else. I don't know where. Now I'm going from a 7 to an 8. So 7, 8, and 5/16 is your typical standard sizes for a lot of this stuff. Okay. There we go. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. So, I already knew my orientation. So the nut's here. So if I had that nut on the other side, this in fact would block it. And this is actually why I made a comment on a previous video that this had to come out because I couldn't get to the bolt. Well, if you just flip the orientation, you don't have to worry about that. It's just one less step that you have to worry about. My drill is set on 2. It's like the perfect torque for these things. 3, I could actually over torque this and tear to the boot. 1 ain't gonna do anything as far as that goes. So this one, it goes to the secondary where the deal is, where the vent goes into the clutch housing. I like the nut facing the rear of the vehicle from the top because that's how I could get my extension on there. Now, if this is the first time you're doing it, then flip those things around and make your life easier. Sometimes the factory just doesn't care. Plus, honestly, I think a lot of the times they don't even have a lot of components in there. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. So, kind of like the upper control arm bolt. Those knuckleheads make you remove the entire front end just to get that sucker. And it's like, well, you could have engineered it a little different. I've taken it apart. I can't flip it the other way because there's just not enough clearance. So there's my 18 for my sway. I did remove my front. My front's pretty cool. It definitely makes the off-roading a lot nicer. So that's the full belt swap, guys. I mean, from start to finish. I try to go into as much detail as I can. I know that my rig isn't the same as a lot of other people's. But I don't know. I think going into some of the smaller details people appreciate. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. I hope everybody has a great day. God bless, and go get them.